Charlene Ornelas was watching from the window of her house 2 weeks ago as a motorist tried to run over 2 young boys.
I called 911 to try and get some response to help the boys, and it took them over 30 minutes to get anybody here to help them.
The 2 boys weren't hurt, but Ornelas was frustrated by the slow police response time. Avenel Police Chief Rusty Stivers is frustrated too.
When an officer has to transport to the Kings County Jail, it's 40 miles away, and at times there's what that does is that leaves one officer in town, and that's not safe for the officers and certainly not safe for the community as well.
Stivers blames short staffing and an increase in crime that he says was caused by Proposition 47 that voters passed in 2014. It reduced the penalties for some drug and property crimes, allowing nonviolent criminals back on the streets. Local law enforcement believe that Measure K will help them put more personnel on the streets so they can keep the criminals off the street and tackle the increased rise in crime. Kings County Sheriff David Robinson says in the past 2 years, the robbery and stolen vehicle crime rate has increased 84% and 52%. He says the county needs the $4 million that Measure K would provide to address that increase.
Most of our agencies, we've been short-staffed for many years or haven't seen staffing increases, and Measure K will go a long way to help build up those staffing levels so we can have better response times and more officers and deputies in the community.
Not only would Measure K money go to local law enforcement, but it would also go to the local firefighting services. Assistant Fire Chief Rick Smith says right now they can only afford to have 1 firefighter on duty at a time in some stations.
The fire department is going to use Measure K money to add personnel. We're going to add 6 personnel to the department, and so the stations that are staffed with only 1 person, we will be able to double the staffing at those stations to 2 people, which is going to increase safety for our firefighters and their communities.
Lemoore Police Chief Daryl Smith says that it is important for people to know that Measure K is not a new tax, only a redirection of money from state to local.
And it's a rare opportunity to have that money stay local, not put a burden on our taxpayers because it's not going to increase what they're currently paying at 7.5%.
If Measure K passes, the sales tax would go up 1/4 cent. But people in Kings County may not even notice because another sales tax is scheduled to end. Ryan Smith, Fresno State Focus.